Max Keiser is our guest. He's been on BBC, he's been on RT, Al Jazeera, U.S. television, a famous, successful stockbroker in his own right in New York. This guy's back on CBS TV back in the 80s with all of his shenanigans. Not aging very much, though. The portrait of Darian Gray there, or whatever his name is. But seriously, you're here, I guess, to interview me for your RT.
Yeah, you're a tough man to get a hold of, Alex Jones. You know, I mean, here you are, redefining media in America. You've redefined alt-media in America. You've brought over the message of the masses to the population, altered the course of the recent election. Alex Jones. So we're here to interview Alex Jones, of course. Nobody else can get an interview with you. All the mainstream media, you're snubbing them, rightfully so, because they're all troglodytes. They're out of touch. They don't know what they're doing. So only my show, Keiser Report on RT, was able to get an interview with Alex Jones.
Well, I wasn't going to brag about that, but I mean, why they don't do real interviews. They talk to you for 3 hours, edit it to act like they're journalists, and twist it. What's the point?
Well, we're seeing the death of mainstream media, which is fantastic, because all these corporations all turned into this oligopoly where they just 5 or 6 corporations own all the media output in America.
And it's in the WikiLeaks, like you always said, though. It's a talking point. It comes out from the corporation to the White House or whatever, and then it just gets repeated by everybody.
Well, yeah, that's why the so-called fake news, because there's no competition. There's not enough diversity in media. So you end up with 5 or 6 media outlets rushing to be the first to report on a story.
Look, the new and alternative media isn't perfect because it's so huge and so diverse. But to have the big 6 conglomerates, now it's 5, pointing at everything but them and saying it's all fake when they're so discredited, this is desperate.
Well, look at Brian Williams. I mean, he was caught floating fake news, and he's a fake newscaster, and they booted him from his primetime NBC.
Can I say I was an astronaut? Maybe the first man on the moon?
Of course. Well, it's your show, Alex. I would not want to interfere with anything you have to say.
But it's the equivalent of that. He was shot down by an RPG in Iraq. Not true.
Right. So if they manufacture news. You know, Noam Chomsky wrote a famous book, Manufacturing Consent, how the mainstream media is co-opted for the corporate agenda. And that is that is a textbook on how to create fake news. Now, the alt media space and what InfoWars has done has been to bring a news source to America, but also introduce what I would call the acid meme to shoot down the fake news of the mainstream media. So when they jump on some of these stories that are, let's say Pepe the Frog, for example, which turned into a Hillary Clinton bashing, killing meme, that generated from 4chan, it generated from the internet, it was picked up by...
It caused a Streisand effect.
Right, it caused a Streisand effect. She buys into it, and she looks stupid. But because she's not really in touch with how the media works in America anymore, she sets herself up to look stupid. People who are actually involved in media every single day, who quote multiple media sources, go to international media sources, they saw the gestation of that fake meme.
Exactly. It's not that any of us are perfect, but we just go to the wide spectrum, different views. We're not in the regurgitation echo chamber they're in. They're claiming we're in an echo chamber. We're in a total free-for-all.
Well, look, I've been on RT. I've done 1,000 shows for RT. Russia Today comes out of Moscow. They claim that Russia's behind all of these interruptions.
Have you ever gotten a talking point?
I've never been asked to talk to any of these sources. New York Times has never asked me to talk to them or any mainstream media outlet. You would think that they would want to talk to me.
But you've told me that
I've got the #1.
You've told me the Russians never give you any talking points.
No.
It's like unheard of. Everybody I know that's been on RT says, I've probably been on there 200 times. They've never told me, don't cover this or do that. You try to go on CNN, it's like 3-hour interrogations.
Well, BBC is the worst. The BBC,
oh, yeah,
you put you through 3 or 4 interrogations before you go on. And a lot of times they just steal your stuff and give it to some other producer, and they don't even...
That's what they do. They get you there, and they'll have 3 guests, only planning 1, and then interrogate you, find out what you're going to say. And I learned... You've got to actually lie to them. I never lie, but this is a military operation against them. I would lie just to get on. I started saying, I'm not going to lie to get on. I had to lie to them about what I was going to do to Piers Morgan.
Well, it's amazing how, remember, you were on...
to get on live, the big secret's live. The big
Andrew Neil show on BBC, where you got, he made a gesture, like you were a crazy person. But now who's looking crazy? I mean, the BBC has been aghast at the Brexit vote, the rise of Nigel Farage, and they were...
The Italians just voted to start getting out of the EU?
Right. They're totally caught flat-footed because they're not in touch with actually what's happening in the media space, what's happening in the news, and they totally misunderstood what you're all about and what you're doing. And so now we have the Trump effect. And the Trump effect is a remarkable phenomenon in American history. This is basically... And we're going to see now the Constitution in action because I think Trump is going to approach this presidency in a way that we haven't seen maybe ever. He's going to just take... He's not beholden to anyone. He's going to take a look at every single deal, every single relationship, and it's up for review.
That's like he said, everything should be a deal-by-deal basis, not some secret multinational agreement we then don't get to even look at and then we follow. And by the way, I tend to exaggerate when I'm putting myself down. I wouldn't even call it lying. It's like you try to call in to talk radio, if you don't say what they agree with, they won't let you get past the call screener. So you've kind of got to put out a topic they want to hear to actually get on, or C-SPAN or anything. And so you basically have to play dumb before you can get on CNN or Fox. But they've learned that, of course, they always break. They always attack first. I said, yes, I won't attack if he doesn't attack. So then he attacks, so then I attack. Now, that's not really lying. It's just what I'm saying is they are super deceptive, so you've got to get into deception mode to even get on their channels because it's so scripted.
Right, you've got to get into having a way to break through their wall, their monopolization of the media, and you've successfully done that. And you've brought over the transom a guy like Donald Trump. So now Donald Trump is president of the United States.
Well, I don't want to take credit for Trump, but what's crazy is, I'm just going to leave it at this, the Trump folks give me credit, and then, mainstream media makes jokes and goes, oh, yeah, Trump's just manipulating Jones. No, they have the metrics. I mean, they're there with the numbers. They know we have a monthly reach just on Facebook of 1 billion people.
But no, I don't know why anyone wouldn't think that you were directly involved.
But I'm not trying to brag about me. You're huge as well. I mean, RT has, what, 18 million viewers routinely for your show. The point is that, and your show's just about global news and information.
Yeah, but, we have been censored heavily in the UK on our show. The regulator...
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the regulator in the UK, Ofcom, routinely censors us. In other words, Russia today and RT, they never censor us. They never give us any editorial guidance whatsoever. We're free to be journalists.
And let's be clear. I read UK News. They're pushing to get RT off TV there.
They're always pushing to get RT off the air because it represents competition, and they hate competition. They don't want any competing views whatsoever. They want only the government line.
By the way, I saw the number 18 million a week for your show. Is that conservative?
Well, yeah, it grows pretty rapidly. The station itself gets 70 million viewers a month now. I think it's number 2.
So you're one of the hottest shows
in the world. We get 20, 25 million viewers a week, I guess, per show. It's very widely.
It's bigger than 18 million. Okay, it's grown. Okay.
But
I mean, I just want to point out, it's the info that's popular. And they're there all arrogant like they're movie stars at CNN when their average show has 200,000 viewers. They're a paper tiger facade. Can we say the mainstream media has now officially died?
You know who's officially, I think, on the ropes are the Young Turks. I mean, the Young Turks incident leading up to this election, I think, was classic Alex Jones, because the Young Turks were so snide, they were so arrogant, they were so full of themselves, they had so much confidence that their girl Hillary was going to win. Alex Jones just did the Alex Jones thing and walked onto the set and said, there's another country out there. It's not just happening in your studio. There's other people out there with other concerns, and they were very dismissive of you. And they look completely uninformed and out of touch. And what we've noticed on our show, a lot of celebrities said, if Trump is going to win the presidency, they're going to leave America. I said, if Trump's going to win the presidency, I'll come back to America. We're back. We're doing reports all over America to talk to people who voted for Trump because the mainstream media did not talk to any of these people.
I want to skip this break so we have more time, Max. Why do you think suddenly they say restaurant traffic's up like 40%? Suddenly factory orders are up at a record number. Suddenly Japan's going to invest $50 billion in high tech next year. Suddenly Ford says we'll come completely back because we have a president who isn't out to sell us out.
Confidence. Business relies on confidence. America is a country built on the notion of fake it till you make it. It's a land of the entrepreneur. And Donald Trump's an entrepreneur, and he awakens the entrepreneur.
He's Americana.
He is Americana.
So it's like a horse and carriage.
When I compare him to, look at Stephen Jobs for a second. Here's a guy who took products that were made by the U.S. government. Everything in an iPhone comes out of the U.S. government DARPA program. He didn't invent anything. He can't write a line of code, but he's a great promoter, and he designed.
He packaged it great.
He packaged the great products that the taxpayer essentially funded, and he packaged it beautifully in something called the iPhone. And Apple's the biggest company in the world.
Same thing Boeing did.
Right now, they've got hundreds of billions of dollars offshore, and Trump. I'm pretty sure Trump's going to say, "Look, either open a factory in the U.S. to build iPhones, or you're going to lose that $250 billion parked offshore. It's your choice." In other words, those are the kind of deals he's going to do.
And he's saying, "Look, bro, we built your whole deal. You're going to come back here."
Look, all American success has at its root the American coast-to-coast structural, infrastructural connectivity of the highway system, the internet system, and a common currency and a common government. It's the American system. And so corporations who don't pay heed to that, who are not willing to recognize that, who take everything offshore after they build the value here, Trump is saying, you're going to have to pay.
What do you make of these leftist unions? And I know it's not left or right, but after he saves 1,080 of the jobs, he couldn't save 320. And the head of the union that Trump's been so gracious to comes out and bitches and said, "You lied, keep them all." Before he's even in office, he said, "Once I get in, if people are doing unfair stuff, I'll do, one-part deals that put tariffs on you." And now the left is all bitching, taking his victory, turning it into a defeat. But then some leftists that are being more honest are saying, we need to back off. This is actually populism. The American people want this. the country's falling apart. Let's not kill America. So I think they went to the point of actually wanting to kill the golden goose. The globalist corporations actually thought that they could mount our head on the wall, but the people, the intelligence agencies, the InfoWars audience, and others basically staged a counter coup against these people, and they are panicking right now. They are hysterical.
Bitch all you want. You know, the union leaders, of course, are going to be lobbying for their union advocates for union needs, union agenda. That's fantastic.
Sure, but how do they bitch when the same union couldn't keep the business there? Obama didn't even care. Trump keeps 80+% of the business, and they're not happy.
No, I think he's just going to basically continue along the path of creating a much more fertile environment for jobs, high-paying jobs. I'll tell you what's going to be interesting, though, is that, you know, the fact is that real wages in America have gone down for years. However, because of globalization, prices for stuff like DVDs and televisions and clothes have gone down faster. So even though the average American quality of life has, let's say, gone down in some regards, or wages have gone down, you don't feel it that much.
The widgets have gotten cheaper.
Because the prices of products at Walmart have gone.
And by the way, that's
faster.
the one thing that Karl Marx really got right.
Have dropped faster. So let me finish. So if, in other words, if Trump says, let's bring in higher wages and your real incomes are going to go up, well, that means that probably the prices for stuff are going to start going higher, then wages will start going higher. So in a lot of ways, your income may go up a lot, but your quality of life might not go up. Really,
but we still need the industrial base to be a sovereign nation and to be self-respecting people. We have to have a world built where humans are involved in things, or we basically rot and die.
I think the industry that's going to get hit is the defense industry. I mean, we saw it already with the discussion about Air Force One. He's willing to take on the defense contractor who built Air Force One and saying, you know, it's overpriced, and stock, you know, took a hit as a result. That's clearly where he's going to be able to start paying down America's debt. If America's got $20 trillion worth of debt,
yeah,
that's what he's going to find.
It's not anti-American to say we should be paying $1 billion for a fighter jet that the F-15 they admit is better.
No.
I mean, a 25, 30-year-old plane is better than this $1 billion+ plane that is a piece of crap.
That's where he's going to pay down that. Look, I'm always anti-banker, and bankers are horrible. I hate bankers. I hate Goldman Sachs. I hate J.P. Morgan. I hate Jamie Dimon. But if under the right leadership, they can be turned into a legion of debt diminishers. So in other words,
I was about to say, so you agree with my view, because I see what Trump's doing. He's grabbing a lot of key players, but not to sell out. He has them now doing his will.
He's got the hitman. He's got the worst.
So he's turning them into his ring wraiths.
That's what I think is going to happen. In other words, if you go to a top banker and you say, look, America's got $20 trillion in debt, bring it down to $10 trillion, and we'll give you a 1% fee. That's a $100 billion fee.
They'll do it.
No banker's going to say no, right? It's like in the 1970s, New York City was bankrupt, and they got Felix Rayton over there at Felix Lazard, and he created the Municipal Assistance Corporation bond, the MAC bond, and they saved New York. So the banker was co-opted to do something positive for that city, and they rebuilt that city. And Trump actually came in during that period, and he developed the hotel near Grand Central Station that had become derelict, et cetera, and that was his era. So now you say to these guys, look, we've got to pay down this debt. I'm going to give you unfettered access to any deal you want to make anywhere, at any time, in any country, and we'll give you a big fee. And as a result, the soundness of the economy goes up, and the ability to create high-paying jobs go up. This is something that Barack Obama, when he took office, it was a global financial crisis, and he simply threw the ball over to guys like Larry Summers and Tim Geithner,
who just want to consolidate the economy.
Who totally screwed us. Totally.
So let's write.
They're the real coprofragists. They are the real coprofragists.
They're the ones that created the derivatives, the scams, all of it. So what do you make of Obama saying 8 months ago, 7 months from the election, there's no magic wand to bring jobs back? Bull. If the Chinese have a 15% corporate income tax lower than ours, then jobs aren't going to be here. I mean, he tells the Japanese, I'm going to equal it with China. They go, okay, we're not going to build in China. We're going to move 50 billion here. It's not rocket science. I love how the Heritage Foundation, all these fake right-wing libertarians who aren't libertarians, they go, we've got to stop Trump. He's doing crony capitalism. And then I don't know what's wrong with Sarah Palin. I mean, I guess she is dumb, like people said. I like her as a person. She goes, he's being a crony. No. If Mexico has dirty plants and then we can't even have plants, that's not fair. We have to equalize things out. So how is it crony capitalism to say we're going to lower our tax to the same rate as you to bring jobs back? How is that unfair? How is that not free trade? That is free trade.
Look, Trump's going to take any meeting that makes economic sense. If the left in America organized themselves adequately and walked into the White House and explained to Donald Trump how building huge solar arrays in the desert in America would create jobs and lower the cost of energy, he would be a convert to solar energy.
DiCaprio was there yesterday pushing that.
Okay, I was unaware of that.
By the way,
in other words, if you give him a good deal, he's not beholden to anyone. He's not going to be like be two-faced and say, "Oh, that sounds great," but and then in the back room, like I'm totally beholden.
No, he really does work for America.
He'll take a good deal.
Well, then what do you?
Show him a good deal. The left
listen,
needs to get a good deal.
You're an international guy. You lived all over the world, but I mean, you're a big stockbroker, lived in New York for a long time. I know you know Alec Baldwin. You know a lot of the Soroses, all of them. What do you know about Trump? Because everybody I know that's known
Stephen Baldwin is a friend of Trump's, and I'm a friend of Stephen Baldwin's. Stephen Baldwin is the Baldwin who's a friend of Trump.
He's a nice
Alec
guy.
Baldwin does the Trump imitation.
No, I mean, he hates him, but you're friends with him.
But I was.
But I'm asking you, what do you know from New York about Trump? Because people that have known him for 40 years say he's the real deal.
I think that he is recognized as your kind of typical New Yorker who likes to do deals. He's a product of the 80s. He's a product of a bull market. Since he won the election, the stock market's added $1 trillion in value. That's $1 trillion.
So that's the Trump effect.
Yeah, exactly. Because so that's $1 trillion. That's a lot of money, you know. And so I think that it gives him a lot of leverage to go do deals. And he can go to these countries around the world and say, open up shop in America. Let's get some high-paying jobs in America. And with the quid pro quo could be greater access to this market or that market. The country that seems to be completely tone deaf to what's going on here is Great Britain. They're actually shutting themselves off from the global trade grid. And that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Trump is saying, you know what, America's been insular for too long, kowtowing to special interests. Let's open her up. Let's open this sucker up. I'm very excited by the Trump presidency. I think we're going to see America, a rebirth of America.
Why do you think the elites were so scared of him?
Because they can't control him. They can't control him. He's his own man. And so that's quite scary. And
I would think of you as a classical liberal. You're anti-war, but you're laissez-faire when it comes to a lot of things.
I'm pro-lesbian.
You've made a lot of accurate predictions.
I'm not a caprophagist.
You've invented a lot of things like the virtual stock market system. And you're a famous journalist. And, you know, you absolutely hated George Bush. I hated him, too. You were disappointed by Obama.
He put Enron in jail. Jeff Skilling over at Enron. He prosecuted banksters, George W. Bush.
Well, I've never seen you more enthusiastic about a political figure than Trump.
Because it gets back to, this is the greatest success of the Constitution and the Founding Fathers we've seen in quite some time.
It is a populist rebellion.
Because ideally, the Constitution is written in such a way that anyone of moderate intelligence or adequate intelligence who's fairly successful can walk in off the street and be president of the United States.
More than 20 years ago, when I started InfoWars, I was a fitness addict. As time went on, my metabolism slowed down. I quit working out. I was working 18 hours a day, and I gained right at 100 pounds. I started to exercise really hard again, and I started to try to eat healthy. Started taking third-party supplements. Started seeing some more gains. But when I started working with Dr. Group and some of the other top formulators in the country, they said, Alex, it's all about trace elements and things that the population is absolutely deficient in. Boom, weight started pouring off. Toxins started coming out of my body. Then, by early 2016, I was in the best shape of my life since I'd been in really good shape in my 20s. But the election heated up. I started working 14, 15, 16 hours a day. But more importantly, I stopped taking the supplements because we rearranged the kitchen and somebody took the Lazy Susan off the kitchen table where I took some every morning, and I just kind of forgot about it. It was out of sight, out of mind. And so then I realized this morning, I said, we're going to put the Lazy Susan back on the table, and I'm going to start taking it religiously again. And I'm going to work out like I've been the last few weeks at the same level. It's the holidays, so I'll probably eat more. And whatever the results are, I'm going to publish the findings. It's December 5th, 2016. We're only like 25 days from 2017. And I want to invite all of the info warriors of every race, color, and creed that bleed red blood and love liberty, justice, and truth to make our bodies great again. Max Keiser is our guest. He's been on BBC, he's been on RT, Al Jazeera, U.S. television, a famous, successful stockbroker in his own right in New York. This guy's back on CBS TV back in the 80s with all of his shenanigans. Not aging very much, though. The portrait of Darian Gray there, or whatever his name is. But seriously, you're here, I guess, to interview me for your RT.
Yeah, you're a tough man to get a hold of, Alex Jones. You know, I mean, here you are, redefining media in America. You've redefined alt-media in America. You've brought over the message of the masses to the population, altered the course of the recent election. Alex Jones. So we're here to interview Alex Jones, of course. Nobody else can get an interview with you. All the mainstream media, you're snubbing them, rightfully so, because they're all troglodytes. They're out of touch. They don't know what they're doing. So only my show, Keiser Report on RT, was able to get an interview with Alex Jones.
Well, I wasn't going to brag about that, but I mean, why they don't do real interviews. They talk to you for 3 hours, edit it to act like they're journalists, and twist it. What's the point?
Well, we're seeing the death of mainstream media, which is fantastic, because all these corporations all turned into this oligopoly where they just 5 or 6 corporations own all the media output in America.
And it's in the WikiLeaks, like you always said, though. It's a talking point. It comes out, from the corporation to the White House or whatever, and then it just gets repeated by everybody.
Well, yeah, that's why the so-called fake news, because there's no competition. There's not enough diversity in media. So you end up with 5 or 6 media outlets rushing to be the first to report on a story.
Look, the new and alternative media isn't perfect because it's so huge and so diverse. But to have the big 6 conglomerates, now it's 5, pointing at everything but them and saying it's all fake when they're so discredited, this is desperate.
Well, look at Brian Williams. I mean, he was caught floating fake news, and he's a fake newscaster, and they booted him from his primetime NBC.
Can I say I was an astronaut, maybe the first man on the moon?
Of course. Well, it's your show, Alex. I would not want to interfere with anything you have to say. I've noticed
that's the equivalent of that. He was shot down by an RPG in Iraq. Not true.
Right. So if they manufacture news. You know, Noam Chomsky wrote a famous book, Manufacturing Consent, how the mainstream media is co-opted for the corporate agenda. And that is that is a textbook on how to create fake news. Now, the alt media space and what InfoWars has done has been to bring a news source to America, but also introduce what I would call the acid meme to shoot down the fake news of the mainstream media. So when they jump on some of these stories that are, let's say Pepe the Frog, for example, which turned into a Hillary Clinton bashing, killing meme, that generated from 4chan, it generated from the internet, it was picked up by...
It caused a Streisand effect.
Right, it caused a Streisand effect. She buys into it, and she looks stupid. But because she's not really in touch with how the media works in America anymore, she sets herself